Well, hello and welcome to the final Go Ballistic of 2024. We're going to look back on a Super Sunday in the SPFL Premiership yesterday with myself, Roger Hanna, and Sun Sports' Kris Boyd. Boyd, I am just relieved to see you today. Nothing to do with Rangers' last two results. I'm just thinking, after the turkey, the mince pies and the selection boxes, I presumed your sports scientist would say you were too tired for the show.
I've got a busy day ahead as well, Roger, to be fair. But I'll just get this out the road this morning, and then I'll go on the rest of my day. I've got to go and get more shot ahead of New Year.
You've been cleared for action. Obviously, some Rangers players weren't cleared for action in the first half yesterday. Motherwell, they've dropped more points. They're 14 points off the pace ahead of an Old Firm game at Ibrox on Thursday. And so many Rangers fans are annoyed that Philippe Clement is picking his team based on advice from sports scientists.
Yeah, well, I think I need to clear this up in terms of sports science. I think there is a place for them in football, on the training field during the week, and obviously taking warm-ups and things like that. There is a place for them. But the moment that you allow them to dictate who you are playing, you're in trouble. And I don't care. Maybe Philippe Clement's used it as an excuse. He's maybe used it as an excuse to the players to drop them. But as I said yesterday on the show, the first thing he's done, both times he's used it as a, when you go back to Cerny in the European game, and then you go back yesterday, the times he's used sports science as an excuse in terms of the numbers and the minutes that players have used, he's went to them at half time. It's not as if it's, you've left them out, and he's went to them at half time whenever he's needed a result. That team yesterday was absolutely baffling for me, based on, as we said, sports science telling you when you could get injured. When the bigger picture for me would be that, Rangers, in terms of the players that have been out this season and how long it's taken them to get back to fitness, I would concentrate on that. That's what I would concentrate. That's their job. Not telling a manager, by the way, this one could potentially get injured, because you can get injured at any time.
When you played Boyd, I think of some of the managers you played under, Walter Smith, Gordon Strachan, Steve Clark, Billy Davis. Was there ever an instance a sports scientist went to them and said, listen, I think Big Boyd is a bit tired, should we leave him out? And if they did, what would the reaction have been from some of those managers?
The ones you mentioned there are fine, fair enough. But I'm going to go back to, Bobby Williamson was obviously my first manager. But the one after that was arguably the one that the change was starting to come in terms of sports science and the heart rate monitors. And by the way, as I said, there is a place for it. Jim Jeffries, I can remember one pre-season, we went to El Choco, and, the physio at the time, in terms of the heart rate monitors, we need to watch what we're doing and blah, 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 blah. Jim Jeffries, nah, son. No. They're not being sick. That was the old school mentality. Yeah. And I'm not saying you keep going and going and going till people are sick. But the head will tell you to stop. The body can keep going. That's just a fact. That is life. And I look at players, they want to play every single week. I think when...
You think some of those Rangers players want to play every single week at the moment, Kris?
Well, what I was about to say there, Roger, is you're giving players an out, I think, when you say, your minutes, you're tired, you look tired, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. Because what I will say is, and this would be interesting, as I said, I don't know. But if someone is tired altogether, then you cannot, in terms of gym sessions, in terms of training during the week, you cannot train all that, because that must have been what had happened if you're on the bench on a Saturday. And as I said, 45 minutes, when you need a result, the first thing you do is turn to people that you said 45 minutes previous was too tired to start a game of football. It just doesn't make sense.
Is Philippe Clement being foolish? Is he being naive? Because if Rangers were to lose an Old Firm game and the heat becomes even more intense, and the Rangers board make a decision, the Rangers board might sack the manager. They won't sack the sports scientist. The sports scientist nothing to lose by giving this information. Surely Philippe Clement needs to be a bit more streetwise when he's getting this information.
I agree with you. Look, I'm not, as I said, I think there is a place for sports science, and that's up to them to go to the manager and say, listen, there's the numbers. That's what we're building this up on. But I tell you something else. I can't remember any time when you have lost a game at St Mirren a few days ago, and even sports science has got the audacity to go to a manager and say, by the way, I would leave that one out. I wouldn't touch him today because he's a bit tired. Usually, if you're a manager, and I'm thinking of, your Walter Smith, the staff would be scared to actually go near him to say, do you know what? I would maybe consider doing this today. The manager will have the final say, and so he should. Because as you say there, the manager will be the one that loses his job. Sports science won't. But I tell you what, they will adapt to the next manager that comes in and probably change their whole remit. Because they're survivors.
St Mirren, who beat Rangers on the previous game, didn't make too many changes for Dundee. They had less of the possession than Rangers. You would have thought that would have tired the St Mirren players out more, running about without the ball. Didn't make many changes for yesterday's game. Didn't make as many as Rangers.
No, I think with St Mirren, and I think history tells you that usually if you have a positive result against the Old Firm, the next game, because you put that much into the game, you usually, you either draw it or lose it. There's not many times that a team that takes something off the Old Firm go and win the next game as such because of the effort they have to put in. But as you say, Stephen Robinson, and he probably doesn't have the luxury of the amount of bodies that Philippe Clement has to make those changes. But I think when you look at going to Fir Park, it's a difficult. It doesn't mean, I know Rangers' record over the years there has been really, really good. You go back to 2002 when Faddy was still running about with that rat's tail. You go back to then, and the Mohawk as well. But they died. I was just Joe something. I'm fed up seeing him as well. Fed up seeing that as well. I said to him yesterday, imagine he did charge royalties off that. It'd be worth an absolute fortune. I think when you're Rangers and you're looking at saying you've been very, very good at Fir Park for a number of years now, but it's a difficult venue, and I think when you look at Kieran Dowell and you look at Oscar Cortez, it's a difficult game to throw them into. Cyril Dessers again thrown in. And look, he had a couple of opportunities in the first half. I just found it again strange that Philippe Clement comes out and has a go defensively. We weren't good enough, but then takes two attackers off. Albeit he got away with it because Igamane came on and scored two good goals, two really good goals. I thought especially the first one, snapshot. Second one, very similar to Masvinici's finish. What I thought was excellent as well. Great turn and hit, same as Igamane. Great turn and fire it away in the far corner. But again, you look at the talking points throughout from the game. As I said, I think the referees got all the calls. The first one, it's a goal. As I said, if Masvinici had it went straight through, sorry, you can pronounce it. That's what I usually use Faddy for.
Tawanda Masvinici?
No, the other one.
Apostolos Stamatolopoulos.
There we go. That one, that boy, that striker. Stamatopoulos, is that the one? I'll get there. But as I said, if it hit his hand and he went straight through and goal and scored, then it would have been chopped off. But because it fell to Masvinici, he then plays them through, and then it's obviously a goal. I think Jack Butland will probably look back and think he was a little bit fortunate to get away with the punch. It could quite easily have been given as a goal, and the same as Lennon Miller. We've seen them being given as red cards. There's no getting away from it. Listen, I don't think Lennon went into to hurt Raskin. I think it was Raskin, but there was definitely, he hit the top of the ball and went through, and that's what happens when you go to ground. The Cerny one was another talking point. As I said, I don't really think we had a conclusive angle on it to confirm whether it was an elbow or not. It did look as if he had stopped and raised his arm, but as I said, I don't know how much there was in it. But there was definitely a lot of talking points within the game. But the main one would be the selection from Rangers and Philippe Clement. When you're in a run that you're in away from home, you can't make that amount of changes. You can't do it.
What does he do now, selection-wise, against Celtic on Thursday? I was at Parkhead yesterday, 4-0 against St Johnstone, off the back of 4-0 against Motherwell. Only 2 defeats in the calendar year of 2024 for Celtic, none against Rangers. What does Clement do? And is there any way, any team he can pick that will threaten to beat Celtic on Thursday?
I think when you look at Rangers against Celtic in recent times, if you take the Scottish Cup final and you take the League Cup final, they've caused Celtic problems, but ultimately Celtic came out on top. Celtic find a way to win games of football. You go back to the must-win, shall we say, the 3-3 at Ibrox. Rangers, they find a way to get back into the game and they don't get beat at home. But it was a must-win for Rangers that day. Celtic found a way not to get beat. So Brendan Rodgers and Celtic have the upper hand in this fixture in recent times. And Rangers are going to have to find a way, a formula to come up to cause Celtic problems, because you look at Celtic's best, and you can only judge it on the last. If you take the cup final there, I felt as if Rangers threw everything they possibly could at Celtic, and Celtic were below par. Listen, you can go on about refereeing decisions and make excuses for that, but as I said, if you take the game of football as such, I think Rangers threw everything at Celtic and came up short again. Philippe Clement has to find a team that's going to cause this Celtic team problems for a period of time within the match. It could quite easily have been, going back to that cup final when Rangers break away and there's not been a lot spoken about it. You're 1-0 up and then the 4-on-1 and there's a chance just to cut it back, to put it in the back of the net. You've got to take those chances in these big games. But it wasn't to be for Rangers. And it'll be interesting, does it revert back to, the cup final team? Obviously, Balogun's out of that. Does he put Sterling in there? Interestingly as well, Roger, I mean, I never seen it at the time, but James Tavernier was holding his hamstring off yesterday as well, just towards the end. The little, feel it out a couple of times. So, I mean, is he going to be a fitness doubt? Because if he does, or if he is a fitness doubt, then I really don't know where Rangers go. Because you bring Leon King in and then put Sterling to right back? There's enough injury problems for Rangers as it stands right now, but you're probably going into this game saying that you're needing Celtic to have an off day and Rangers to play at their maximum, and that might still not be enough, just because of the firepower that Celtic have got.
They've not had many off days, but they're looking at statistics for 2024. Those 2 defeats, one to Hearts back in March, the famous Champions League win to Borussia Dortmund. They actually won more trophies than they lost games in the calendar year of 2024. They finished at a high with those 2 big home wins over the festive season. They've managed to rotate the squad. All the big guns will come back on Thursday, though.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would imagine that Brendan Rodgers' only decisions whether to play Engels or Bernardo. I think that'll be the only. I mean, Hatate will play. McGregor will come back in the back four.
Engels will play. But yesterday was excellent.
I'm saying that who is it? Scales or Trusty at centre back? That's so there might be a little dilemma there. In fact, I'm chucking another one in. Taylor or Valle as well. So it might not be as easy to pick, but you'd imagine it'll probably be Taylor because of, Valle played yesterday. And, Engels was, as you said there, excellent yesterday. But it's from Brendan Rodgers not looking at saying, he's in bad form, I'm going to have to take him out. He's got a decision on somebody that is on form, unless I'm going to have to pull him and have a difficult conversation with him. But, Maeda, he was a substitute yesterday, came on and scored. McGregor, as you said, substitute. Kyogo got a couple of goals. Celtic, they're in a strong position. I mean, there's no getting away from it. And an opportunity to come to Ibrox, win the game of football. And if you go back, you go back a week ago and you think to yourself, Rangers have got a chance of potentially taking this to 6 points if they win the game. They're now looking at, it could be 17 points. 17 points.
No manager, surely no Rangers manager can withstand that. If it goes to 17 on Thursday, Patrick Stewart, the new chief executive, Fraser Thornton, the new chairman, they will see a side of the Ibrox crowd that they haven't seen thus far. Will that spook them, do you think?
Well, I think they would have seen. I think they'd have seen it yesterday at full time, Roger. I think there was yesterday was probably for me enough's enough. You look at the fans, and I mean they were booing after the game yesterday, and rightly so, because again you're looking at it saying because of Rangers' record at Motherwell in recent times, and the second half was better, but it shouldn't take you 45 minutes to get started, and that's what's happening with Rangers, especially away from home. The results away from home have not been good enough, and the fans have had enough, and it's not that. I think they're fed up with the excuses that's coming out of Rangers, or the manager, shall we say, after every game. These guys work hard all week, pay their money, they want to go, they want to watch their team winning games of football, And not only that, if they're taking children along with them, it's an absolute fortune. And if you're paying that type of money to go and watch what you're watching, you wouldn't be happy. I mean, there's no getting away from it. I think we're in a privileged position that, you know, we don't have to pay to go into games. You know, we go and we watch it, we do our work. But there's sometimes even we come away and we're moaning about how bad that performance was, how good that. But we've not had to pay to watch it. Whereas imagine you're out your work all week and then having to, you know, spend your money to go and watch that right now. There'll be a few of them unhappy. And as I said, that was maybe just a little taste of what will come on Thursday if Rangers don't get a result, because it'll be a full house at Ibrox. And, you know, again, and I'm fed up saying it, the whole going up to the fans and clapping them after the game, you know what the reaction is going to be. You know, you're just feeling it. Just get yourself up the tunnel.
I'd just like to advise viewers, don't worry, this is the Monday show. Don't be confused with the Friday show. I know on Friday, Boyd and I were on. Rangers had a bad result, Hearts had a bad result, Aberdeen had a bad result, St Johnstone had a bad result. And now in the Monday show, Rangers, Hearts, Aberdeen and St Johnstone have all had bad results. What on earth happened to the Jambos? 97 and 99 minutes, they lose goals in Dingwall, and they are still in this drop zone.
Yeah, I think, you know, that trip down the road is long enough, but it would have been felt a lot longer on yesterday, that's for sure. I mean, you look at Hearts, got themselves in a great position. And by the way, Roger, 2 really, really good finishes from Wilson.
Yeah.
The first one, great ball from Boyce, but even the way he takes it on the run and then gets it away, the header's fantastic as well. I think it was Penrice with the ball in. Great cross, great header. And you think then that, you know, that'll be Hearts have won their way and they'll go get the 3 points and kick on. But I mean, they find a way to mess it up. And credit to Ross County. You know, it was a big, you know, coming off the back of that Dundee when they've won away from home, and then they're going back home and you're expecting Hearts, obviously the disappointment at the Edinburgh derby. You know, there are a lot of Ross County fans turning up at Dingwall yesterday expecting, you know, a win. So it'll feel like a win now because of, you know, the way the game panned out. And, you know, to get the 2-2, I'm sure Craigie Gordon will be happy with, you know, towards the end of the game. But, you know, I think you've got to give Ross County a little bit of credit because it's been quite easy to fold. Big travelling support, Hearts, 2-0 up. Could quite easily, well, it was 3, and then it got chopped off. Liam Boyce's finish. But, you know, I think for Ross County, in the end up, they'll be delighted to get the point.
It's been a fabulous few days for County. As you say, 3-0 win at Dens to finally get an away win in the Premiership. A late point, which will feel like a win at home at Hearts. They now go to Aberdeen, who are now 8 without a win after that stoppage time winner for Dundee United last night.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think when you look at, and you know, we spoke about it at the start of the season, Roger. I mean, I wasn't getting too carried away with Aberdeen. I think Jimmy Talline came in and done a really good job to get, and it shows you how good a manager he is in terms of, you know, the players that came in to get them at a level where they were been able to churn out victories and keep going. And I mean, how many late goals did they get? And the substitutions that he made that, you know, that had a big difference made a big difference in the game. But I think in recent times, you know, Aberdeen, I still think they've improved than last season. But the reality is they're in a horrible run right now of 8 games without a win. And I'll say it, it's virtually impossible to do that in the top flight. I mean, it is. There's no getting away from it. The fixtures suited Aberdeen at the start of the season. Maybe now it's been a little bit more tougher for them and they're finding it. That's exactly the way they're finding it. But as you say, that game next is a huge game for them, and they're going to have to find a way to get a victory somewhere.
I spoke about St Johnstone. I was at Parkhead, as I say, yesterday. Lost 4-0 to Celtic. That's not the kind of game Simo Valakari said will be judged on this season. But they will be judged the next 2 at home. Hibs at home, Dundee at home. If they're going to get themselves out of this fix, they're going to have to do it in Perth, aren't they?
Yeah. I think for St Johnstone, when you look at Simo Valakari, came in, get a little bounce to start with. Obviously changed a few things. But, I mean, will they still continue to try and play out for the back in that yesterday at Celtic Park?
To an extent, yeah.
I mean,
I didn't really get very far out from the back at any stage, it has to be said.
Yeah. I look at St Johnstone and you know, the forward areas, they've got pace that can cause you problems. You know, the two boys there on the season that were scoring goals. Nicky Clark's came back in. Mackenzie Cooks emerged, and he's been scoring goals. So, yeah. I mean, they have got enough going forward where you'd think, yeah, they could get themselves out of it. But I just kind of, I mean, defensively, so poor. And you kind of get the feeling as if you need the opposition to have a bad day against St Johnstone for them to get something. That's where they're at right now. Overplaying, getting caught in it, and I think sometimes when you play that way, you know, when you are open and expansive, and when you try to play out, when you lose it, and I mean, when you go back to Glenn Middleton's goal, like the Dundee United, you know, it's so much space once you get turned and was able to get shot away. When you are so open, when you've got the ball, as soon as you lose it, that transition, you've got to, you know, get narrow very quickly. And I don't think St Johnstone are doing that right now. And a lot of the goals that they're conceding are far too easy. And, you know, that's one thing that Valakari's probably, or he has to address, or you can only see this going one way for St Johnstone. Again, we touched on it. You kind of felt as if, you know, when the bottom three was Kilmarnock, Hibs and Hearts, that, you know, Ross County and St Johnstone were going to get dragged back into it. Ross County have done well, managed to pick up a few points, and you managed to keep themselves just out it. Hearts have obviously found a way to stay in it, but Kilmarnock and Hibs are absolutely flying. But Kilmarnock
5 wins out of 6. I was going to say Hibs go to St Johnstone next. You think the sixth game, the game they didn't win, was a very positive performance against Celtic at Parkhead. One of the better away performances by a Premiership side at Parkhead. They've not just turned the corner; they've gone round the corner on the way down the street. Princess Street. It's an incredible into the year for them.
It's incredible. I think that's where a lot of the frustration would come from, especially, you know, the likes of myself working, and then yourself when you're writing stuff, and, you know, the boys you'll be, you know, you're looking at this Hibs team, and even at the start of the season, you're looking, think to yourself, they should be doing a lot better than what they are. And that's where a lot of, you know, we always, I mean, people think, oh, you don't like us, you just want your big clubs to do well. Because if you're doing well, it's a stronger league, and that means that, you know, it's better for us all in terms of Europe, the national team, whatever it may be. But you look at Hibs, and earlier on the season, there was a lot of individual mistakes that were costing them points, but that seems to be cut out. And even yesterday as well, you know, a couple of changes from David Gray, still gets the same outcome in terms of the victory. They're in a good place, Hibs. They've been able to put a run together, as you say, 5 wins out of 6. That defeat coming against Celtic, they will fancy themselves to continue this, but it would just be like Hibs, wouldn't it? You know, as you say, go to St Johnstone or St Johnstone next. It would just be like Hibs to go on this terrific run and then just go and Hibs it against St Johnstone.
Boydie, as ever, wonderful. I shall let you go now and get a steak pie for New Year. We will be back on Friday to look back on the January 2nd Premiership card, assuming the sports scientists let us. Thanks very much.